What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to From the Bench. I'm your host, Will Meadows, and today is our Tuesday edition. It's Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas to those who celebrate. Tomorrow should be one of the better days of the year, as Saturday was not. Obviously, that's the elephant in the room of what we're going to talk about today. It's unfortunate, but we're going to recap what happened between the Vols and the Ohio State Buckeyes this past Saturday in Columbus. But before we get into anything, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, like this video, and leave a comment about how you felt about the game this past week or what you think needs to happen in the offseason. So that's we're going to talk about what I think needs to happen in the offseason, and we're also going to talk about what just happened at that game. So I'm sure everybody watched, especially if you're watching a Tennessee podcast. I assume that you'd watch. Tennessee went to the shoe and got their rear ends handed to them, 42-17. Just very, very underwhelming for all the hype that went into it from Tennessee fans. The fans showed up more than ever, and I'm just going to be honest, was let down. They showed up, and the team did not. They just didn't look like they wanted it out there, all but Nico Iamaleava and a little bit of James Pierce. It's just kind of unreal to me. And I can't say that I didn't see it coming. On this show, I'm going to pick Tennessee every single time. I don't care if they're playing the Kansas City Chiefs. I'll pick them. And I try and speak it into existence. But I was at my buddy's house Friday night watching the Indiana and Notre Dame game. And I was like, I think we could lose 38-17 tomorrow. I was pretty dang close, 5 points off. And that it's just because you kind of saw a difference between the most expensive roster in college football and what we have. And I'm not saying let's just crank up the NIL money, blah, blah, blah. You got to recruit better. That's one. And NIL money does have stuff to do with that. But you got to be better in the portal on the offensive side of the ball. Nico did all he could. This past Saturday, the offensive line gave him no time. And I've never seen a worse performance put on by receivers in my life. Just no separation. They could not get open for the life of them. I mean, it was unreal to me. Like I said, the O-line was horrible. The coordinators are just not good. Tim Banks had a solid year this year because his defense was good, but I think I could have coordinated that defense. I'm just being honest. He got killed on Saturday, and Joey Halzle is no good. Everybody keeps asking, what happened to the Tennessee offense that we all know and love? The 2022 years with Hooker and Hyatt. Well, one, Hendon Hooker was way better than Nico Iamaleava, and Nico could be better. I think Nico could be the first pick in the draft next year. He's got all the tools, and if you see a jump, I mean, it's very likely that he is better than Hendon Hooker, especially as a draft prospect. But as of right now, Hendon Hooker is 3 times the passer Nico is. Jalen Hyatt was the daggum Bolitnikoff, and we don't have anybody who could grace the third or fourth round in the NFL draft right now. And that's just me being honest. So there's that. There's the personnel and the players. But Alex Golesh took the playbook to South Florida with him. And that's all there is to it. Joey Halzle does not call the same plays. Josh Heupel, I mean, I know Joey Halzle's your boy and all, but you got to kind of look yourself in the mirror and say, do I want to be a championship program? Or do I just want to grace the edge of the college football playoffs every year? Because this is not a championship program right now. Obviously, we haven't won one since 1998. But I'm saying in terms of talent and in terms of coaching, we're not a championship program right now, and that's just being honest. In the portal, you got to get a receiver. You have to get receivers. You have to get O-line. We've already got an interior offensive lineman so far. You got to reload on the defensive line, which here's the thing. Like, I don't see us in anybody's top 5, top 4, top 3, top 6. Like, we're not in talks with anybody, which is not good. Got to go bolster up the O-line, maybe a DB, in my opinion. I don't know if we need a safety as Will Brooks is leaving. I think Idris Farouk is going to be good for us next year. But wide receiver is the one that I think is you need the most. Dante Thornton was, I guess, our best guy this year. But I'm just being honest. If you want to be a championship team, Dante Thornton should be about the third best receiver on your team. He would be the fourth or fifth best receiver on Ohio State, for example. He would be the fourth or third best receiver on Oregon. He would be, who else is there? He'd probably be, Georgia is a little different, but that's a championship program, so that's the difference. The thing with Georgia's receivers are they get open, they just hardly can't catch. We don't get open, and that's been a problem all year, and it was a glaring problem against Ohio State. This defense and it's with Tennessee in general. It's not just the defense this year. It's not new to me, and that's why I thought we were going to lose to Georgia. When things are good for Tennessee, they just like to forget how to be good. For example, this defense was arguably the best defense in the country 8 games into the year, 9 games into the year, 8 games, I guess. They go to Georgia, and everybody's like, Carson Beck's been this bad. He's been so bad. If we can just get some pressure on him, and we should because we have the best D-line in the country. We have arguably the best defense in the country. And Carson Beck sits back there and just did whatever the heck he wanted for 4 quarters. And then, again, it was the same thing. Like, everybody's like, Will Howard's a game manager. Like, if he comes out and we get some pressure on him early, this thing could get ugly. We didn't get pressure. Like, Ohio State called the game they wanted. They did whatever they wanted to us. They were more physical. It was just unreal to me. So the portal, you've got to go get some receivers. I don't think Tim Banks and Joey Halsley are, like I said, championship defensive and offensive coordinators. That's just my opinion. I know Tim Banks had a good year. Looking deeper than surface level, I don't agree. He did, but where it mattered, he got killed. They were schemed open the whole game. But the thing that you need most is O-line and a receiver. Because if you want any chance to win in the SEC, because look at the SEC around us. LSU's portal class is unreal. Auburn's is really stinking good. Ole Miss is good. Everybody around us is getting better. And, there's got to be a change for Tennessee in the near future, in my opinion. I just don't think that the roster that they have right now, like you saw the difference between a championship roster and a borderline playoff roster. Because last night, whether Ohio State's been as good as they should have been or not all year, they probably have the best top to bottom roster in the country. And they finally put it all together. If that team plays like that for 3 or 4 more games, they're going to win the national championship. And that's just me being honest. Because they've had the talent all along. They just needed to be able to put it together. And boy, did they put it together on Saturday night. So that's just my short and sweet answer. Dante Thornton left yesterday. He's going to the NFL draft, so good luck to him. Christian Harrison, a DB, entered the portal. He was kind of Boo Carter's backup, in my opinion. So, depth still hurts. As we know, Jalen Smith and them have left. But you got to get some guys that can get more separation. And you got to level up the play calling. The pre-snap motion, we used to have that all the time with Hyatt, especially in the red zone. And the red zone is a place we got to be better at next year. Like, there has to be more pre-snap motion in this offense. There's got to be more speed. Just the way it is right now. And if, in my opinion, man, and I know some people love him, he's a fan favorite, you have to tell Squirrel White to kick rocks. He's soft. I hate saying soft, but he gets hurt every game. He is very small. He doesn't run the best routes. And for how small and fast he is, he doesn't make people miss. Like, he's not a very good run-after-catch guy. And you know what you're going to get out of him because It's not good enough. Like, Squirrel White would be about the 6th best receiver on Ohio State, and that's just me being honest. It's not good enough. You got to get guys. Braylon Staley played a good bit against Ohio State. Mike Matthews. Those guys are going to have to see the field more and more as sophomores next year. Obviously, Brew's gone. Dante Thornton's gone. I hope Squirrel White's gone. Chris Brazell's going to have to step up. And that's a guy who we went and got in the portal last year and was incredible at Tulane last year. Like, he's just got to be better. And you got to go get guys in the portal that are going to be better. And I don't care if you think you're good at the position. Bring in some other people for competition. Because as it is now, they're going to leave whether you like it or not. So bring in some competition, make guys beat people out for their spot, and that way you have the best receiving core humanly possible. Obviously, Nathan Laycock is left, Caleb Webb, Chaz Nimrod. Like, there's got to be some depth built up. But the problem is, a lot of the best receivers are off the board. Eric Singleton's off the board. Nick Singleton is off the board. Like, we're going to have to go get some guys. Eric Rivers is off the board. Like, we're going to have to go get some guys or hope some more guys enter the portal. A guy that I kind of wish we would have got was Kendre Law. He actually ended up going to Kentucky, was a receiver at Alabama, and I thought he was a very good athlete. That's besides the point. It's not who I wish we would have got. It's who we need to get. You know, you got to get a new center unless you are comfortable with William Satterwhite. The tackles think, I don't care. He's gone now. I don't care. John Campbell, I'm so glad you're gone. If you're listening to this, man, I'm sorry. You're a lot bigger than me, and I don't want any problem with you. But I'm just going to be honest, man. You are not that good at football. You're not good at football. You can't block. You run your mouth. A few of the blocks that you had the other night, or attempts at blocks, was some of the worst I've ever seen at the D1 collegiate level, especially in the college football playoffs. You got your butt handed to you all night. Lance Hurd, dude, that's another guy in the portal. We got a 5-star portal prospect. Has not been good at all. He moves his feet slower than my Mimi, who's downstairs right now waiting for Christmas tomorrow. I mean, it is ridiculous. Spraggins is gone. We just got an interior line. Men, but I feel like you got to get another one just for, again, some competition, because it's just not – this is not a championship program right now, and I keep saying that, and I probably sound like a broken record. But you got some changes have to be made at all levels. It starts at the top and goes down to the players. The coaches have to be better. The talent has to be better. The production has to be better. It all has to be better. Now, I think the run game next year will be great. Whether they pass block or not, they run block well. I think, in my personal opinion, Dylan Sampson will be back. I don't see why he'd go to the draft. He'll make more money this next year at Tennessee than he would in the draft, and this draft is loaded of running backs. And I think he can stay and be the first or second best running back in the draft next year. And fix his fumbling problem, because that kind of shot his draft stock a good bit. Him and Peyton Lewis and Deshaun Bishop, that's championship level right there. That is championship level. Peyton Lewis played great when he played on Saturday. Ended the game with, I think 77 rushing yards. He played great. Like I said, too, with the change of play calling, there's got to be maybe some more QB runs, something to make this more offense dynamic. This offense more dynamic. Because it's not right now. It's just run, and then play action and hope somebody's open. And spoiler alert, they usually aren't. Nico's got all the arm talent in the world. He's only going to get better next year. There's got to be some changes. Hopefully the defense comes back as good as they were. And I love you to death, Jermon McCoy. This is credit to Ohio State. Jeremiah Smith. And if you're watching this and you watch the game with me on Saturday, Jeremiah Smith, it might be the greatest receiver of all time when it's all said and done. I don't care. I know how blasphemous that sounds. That man is 6'3". He's built like a running back. He is a tank. He runs incredible routes, and by the time he gets drafted, he will run a 4.2. He probably runs a low 4.3 right now, and he is a freshman. And I have said it, if Luke Cannon, if you're watching this is directed at you, but this is kind of a victory lap for me. After everybody said Ryan Williams this and Ryan Williams that, after the Alabama-Georgia game, and rightfully so. I was like, Jeremiah Smith is levels ahead of this dude. And that's just me being honest. And boy, was I right. Ryan Williams led the SEC in drops this year. Jeremiah Smith is generational. That's all I'm going to say about football. Again, it's so frustrating and underwhelming. I'm very glad I didn't go to the game on Ohio, all the way to Columbus. Sorry for that stutter right there. Very glad I did not make the trip up there in that freezing cold weather. I did hear that Ohio State was just not that loud compared to Tennessee at all. But unreal. It's very underwhelming. It feels like the same story. Early prediction, I don't think we're going to make the SEC, or I don't think we're going to make the college football playoffs next year. That's just me being honest. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope we win it all. But that's just early. With a glance at it, I don't think we will. But no need to bring that negativity into the next year, as I'm mad about this past year. But on the bright side of things, on a good note, I'm not going to talk much about it. Tennessee got another win against MTSU last night. If you watched, it was a close one. They were losing at halftime, but they've started picking it up. Zakai Ziegler was incredible, 15 assists. And Felix Okapara played solid. Again, he looks good against those teams, in my opinion, just like Adu did. I think they are carbon copies of each other. Chaz Lanier had 19, I think. Igor had double-digit rebounds. I mean, they ended up getting the job done. They moved to 12-0 for the first time since like 1922, I think. So credit to them. They played Norfolk State later on in the week, I think. And then we move into SEC play, and we got Arkansas first game. So it should be pretty exciting for the Tennessee basketball. We're in basketball season now, and thankfully we have the number one team in the country. Baseball will be here before you know it. So with all that being said, again, it's Christmas Eve, and I hope everybody has an incredible Christmas tomorrow, a Merry Christmas. If you're traveling, safe travels, and if you're traveling back home, safe travels there as well. Again, Merry Christmas to those who celebrate, and thank you guys for watching, and go Vols.